Hey, everybody, it's John Ray. I'm joined by the president of Estonia, and we're going to be talking NFTs again today and really looking at a couple of projects that, we've considered purchasing and haven't yet, and just continuing to talk about the decision-making process of which projects are worth engaging with and why would we want to engage with some of these projects. So welcome to the channel. I know you have a few different projects that you want to talk about. Is there kind of a contextual wrapper that you want to put on this conversation, or should we just dive in?
Yeah, so I just want to explore what your approach is to investing in NFTs. Are you looking at the short term or are you looking at the long term?
Hmm.
Are you on the short term, are you looking to flip, make quick money? How are you approaching this?
Yeah, I think I don't know yet, so
Hmm.
I'm open to all of those approaches.
Mm.
I think part of it is like how actively involved do I get with some of the communities, which is similar to how I invest in crypto projects in general. So, when I have some things like Solana and Bitcoin and Ethereum, I've actually never engaged with those communities ever, where with some of the projects like Cardano, DigiBuy, Presearch, like those are projects that I have heavily engaged with members of those communities and really kind of gotten into the ecosystem of the chatter and conversation that's happening there. And that, because I'm so actively engaged in those communities, when it comes, like last night when it came time, I had to sell something in order to be able to fill up my MetaMask wallet so that I could buy some NFTs. And I was like, well, I'm not going to sell any of these coins that I have an active engagement with the community on. I'll just sell some of my Bitcoin because I've never spoken to anybody in that community, really. Well, I mean, I guess in crypto, kind of everybody is in the Bitcoin community, but some projects really do have a lot more actual conversation happening amongst developers and members of the community about what the future of that project looks like and how the community is driving that. And so Bitcoin to me, Ethereum to some extent, because I know that there are communities there, but because I've not engaged with those communities, those are always the ones that if I want to put money into another project without investing fiat, I just sell those and move it into something else. And I think the same thing applies to some of these NFT projects. The NFT projects where I'm actively engaged in the community, I'm going to be less willing to just flip it for money, because there's a relationship component to it. Where the NFTs that I purchase, where I've never spoken to anybody on the team, that would be much easier for me to flip.
So you feel some loyalty to the projects and that.
I Yeah, I think somewhat it's loyalty and somewhat it's maybe there's something more than money that could come out of this project. Maybe the relationships are more valuable to me than money. Because a relationship can be an opportunity in and of itself, right? I mean, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. My entire financial well-being since I was 15 years old has been based on the relationships that I build, because when you're an entrepreneur, relationships can always equate to sales or to new businesses or to new opportunities or to new avenues of thinking. And so NFTs are just another lens into how I can form relationships with people in the crypto community.
In what way do you think in what way is it different, do you think, engaging in a NFT community with a real life community? Do you think there are some unforeseen benefits of an online community? One of the things I was thinking is that in which communities do you get exposure to a very diverse group of people? I mean, out of
Mhm.
those, what are they, 2,000 members of that Discord group? How many of them are women? How many of them are men? How many are in Latvia? How many are in the US? What are their professions? I was really interested to learn about the different members in the Zeneca 33 Discord group. They were very, it surprised me. There was a surgeon in there was a teacher, there were all sorts of people. And I was like, wow, this is really interesting. Like the
Yeah.
people that are interested in NFTs and their reasons for being interested. You know, the surgeon was doing it for, he wanted to raise money for a specific cause. So yeah, so I'm interested in the diversity, and I think it's possible. For example, in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, you'll find there are basketball players that hold.
Mm.
There are a couple of basketball players that hold NFTs from that project. So, I mean, how that like how easy is it for us to meet a famous basketball player? If you own an NFT, if you're part of that group,
Right.
you get that chance, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's definitely part of the allure. The networking part of it is
Mm,
huge
mm,
because you immediately have an in to
mm,
communicate with anybody that is in that group. Like
mm,
if I hold a board ape and some famous basketball player does, and my business is interested in doing business with him or sponsoring him in some way, it's just easier to have that conversation if we have common ground. I mean, that's one of the rules
mm,
of sales. It is,
mm,
let me find common ground as quickly as possible so that we can
mm,
build an actual relationship. And so
mm,
NFTs are built in common ground.
mm. I was thinking beyond, I was not thinking of business specifically, just as in, oh, like hanging out with that famous basketball player. What would that mean for you in terms of, like, as you said earlier, learning? Like what might you learn from that person? And they don't need to be famous. There's all sorts of people in that group
Sure.
who, you yeah, I'm just, maybe you're
Yeah.
from a village in, or you
Right.
know
I definitely agree that part of the value of being in some of these NFT communities is that it expands your worldview beyond the borders of the country that you're in. I mean, that's a huge problem in America where I live, is that it's very easy, mostly because people's lives are busy, to not even consider what's happening in the rest of the world. And when you're engaging with people from other countries on a regular basis, it just gives you a wider perspective on how to think about humanity as a whole, and what it means to be a part of a dominant country that's interacting with others. And so, of course, like, we can always take our own worldview into anything that we do, but I do think that that part of the interesting community portion of NFTs, or any interest based group, is that the camaraderie that happens from being interested in the same thing, so here it would be the same NFT project, immediately trumps, for lack of a better word, all of the things that maybe you don't have in common. And so there's a transcendence of some of the sticking points that you might disagree on, because the more important thing in the community focus that you're engaged in is,
mm,
let's all focus on the thing that we're in agreement about. And
mm,
that's rare in the
mm,
societal and political discourse that we have in the world. Almost always somebody wants to make somebody else wrong by pointing
mm,
out what the differences are and why we can't agree and why you're wrong. Where in things like sports, NFTs, interest-based category groups, we're coming together and we're collectively agreeing on something. And there's way more power in collective agreement than disagreement.
So do you think NFTs is a more democrat? It could be democratizing, like it can
Well,
bridge between polarized groups.
potentially. I mean, blockchain for sure is
Mm,
a democratizing technology.
mm,
At its core, that's what it does. Is it frees people in many ways that you don't even really understand until you start to go down the rabbit hole. So yeah, the potential is there for sure for that to happen. But it's just like with any tool. Any tool can be used for good or evil. And so
Mm, mm,
there will be plenty of use cases that aren't so benevolent.
mm,
And it's just we have to keep that in mind. And unfortunately, we have a media bias towards the crypto industry that only wants to highlight the negative stories and not the positive ones. And I'm hopeful that as more and more positive stories about the community that's developed in the NFT space emerge, that we will pick up on more of that good news. And ultimately work towards a good news algorithm where good news is actually more profitable than sensational bad news. And I think if we can get to that point through some kind of technology where it actually makes more sense for networks to focus on the good things, because there is more, they can monetize that news story more than a bad story, then that could be an interesting pivot point in the media landscape. That's a pipe dream, I know, but I actually do think that at some point there will be some kind of a good news metric that advertisers latch onto, and they will drive media companies to produce more good news stories because they can make more money. And the way to see positive change in society is to properly incentivize the right actions.
um, is it possible that NFTs could do that? So like, so a media outlet would tailor their news to an NFT community or communities, or
Right.
that they have their own NFT and then the media outlet has their own.
Yeah, I think that will definitely happen, and whether that creates more polarization or less, I'm not sure. I guess it'll depend on how it's structured, but I think any group that already exists in the real world, once they see that group engagement goes through the roof when there's an NFT component, because what the NFT does is it provides an
Mm,
additional incentive to continually and consistently engage with the group. So
mm,
as a digital marketer, I know very well that when somebody launches an online course and there's usually like a community component to that online course,
mm,
there's no incentive to engage with that community unless you're just looking for help or you just happen to want to connect with a like-minded person. The thing that's powerful about
Oh,
NFTs
do you mean you're not incentivized to
yes,
interact with the community? So
correct.
it's much like players playing a game, a computer game. The gamers are rewarded for their time, aren't they? But typically in what you're saying, in communities, you're not always rewarded
Right.
for engaging.
Which is why there's a massive churn rate on any type of an online course or something like that, where maybe
Mm,
initially the community is active, but over a
mm,
90 to 120-day period, it fizzles out because there's no long term
mm,
incentive to
mm,
continually engage with that community.
mm,
And everybody in that community is busy. And so, if there's no incentive to do it, then the community just ends up dying out. This happens
mm.
all the time when somebody launches an online course. What I feel is different about the NFT world is that the community is actually benefits from keeping the community going,
Yes,
because there's a financial incentive to keep the community going and growing.
yes.
And so that is the new piece that NFT offers, is that now the community stays alive and people are consistently contributing to it, because every time somebody contributes to the community, the potential for the project to grow in value goes up.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, you and I are the exception from the foundation, aren't we?
Right.
we've
Yeah. We
we've
actually
stayed in
met in an
touch.
online
We got beyond. We've gone beyond the 90 days. What is
yeah.
it
We
now?
met in an online
Nine
course like
years.
10 years
9 years.
ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're the exception to the
We're the
rule,
anomaly.
and
We like
there are a
to
couple
be
other
the anomaly.
outliers in the foundation, and it just
Mm,
goes to show that the
mm.
foundation was actually one of the better online courses that I've ever been a part
For
of.
really, oh, mm. Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
Mm.
I went on to build a piece of software from it, so
Yeah.
it definitely was beneficial for me. And
Mm.
yeah, I think that if there had been an NFT component to that where I could have
Mm.
some kind of ownership in the foundation,
Mm.
that
Mm.
that would
Mm.
definitely have made
Yeah.
me more engaged than I
Mm.
already was.
To be receiving staking rewards monthly,
Right.
even now, yeah, it would be
Right.
pretty cool.
And I think
Um,
that's the value of NFTs. Like
mm,
as I'm thinking about like what kind of NFT project would I want to launch, like
mm,
those are the type of things that are more interesting to me. Like I think a
yeah,
lot of people get hung up on that art isn't worth anything. It's
the
digital.
pixelated image.
Right.
Yeah.
And people who stop at the art isn't worth that are
Mm,
missing the entire NFT boat
yeah.
because it actually has nothing, almost nothing to do with the art and everything to do with the mechanism of incentivizing a community to stay engaged.
Yes, absolutely. And I got the community thing once I joined a few Discord channels, but I hadn't got the far-reaching business implications,
Yeah.
the rewards for a business of engaging with the community. And now I see, wow, uh, that it's
Yeah. Well, any business that's looking to advertise is going to get an advertising prospectus, and in that prospectus it's going to break down the demographics of an event or a group or a television station or a radio station, and they're going to look at all of that data and they're going to say what is the most cost-effective way for us to build a meaningful
mm,
relationship with the people, the type of people that are likely to buy our product. And when you have NFT projects that have 15,000, 50,000, 150,000 people that are all there and gathering around a particular interest based category, that's very appealing to a business. And when that community, one of the main things that that community cares about is the project going up in value so that that project can then get more funding to continue its roadmap, and you're the business that comes in and buys the top, you know, piece in that project, or you buy all of the bottom pieces, thus
mm.
raising the floor value of the
Sweep the
entire
floor.
project.
Would that
Yeah,
be sweep the floor?
I
I
think
think that
that's
would
what
be it,
sweeping the
wouldn't
floor
it?
is.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
when somebody
yeah.
comes in and kind of buys all the low hanging
Yeah.
fruit in the project, which
Mm,
then raises the floor price. So
mm,
if you're the business that does that, you're
mm,
going to get some clout in the community for doing that. And that's a really
mm,
interesting way to get
mm.
positive, real relationship engagement with a large group of people.
And so it could be a cost-effective way of marketing if you get
Right.
in early on a project, right? So maybe more businesses are going to be waking up to this, right? And as you were
Right.
saying, you were considering your clients. I didn't really get it. I thought you'd be thinking for yourself, but you were thinking more for your clients, weren't you?
Correct.
How okay, this community might be the right match for this client.
Correct. And, as an entrepreneurial consultant, I'm always one foot is thinking about how do I engage with this as an investor, but then the
Mm,
other foot is thinking about how can I provide additional value to my clients by helping them
mm.
understand their role in this space.
Yeah, in such a nascent industry.
Right. Because all my clients are interested in NFT, but
Are
none
they?
of them
Oh.
really understand what they could do with it. And
Mm,
honestly, until the last 48 hours, I didn't
mm.
know either.
Me neither.
And it's
Yeah.
part of us having these conversations.
Mm,
So let's shift gears a little bit, and I'm going
mm.
to share my screen and dive into a couple of projects that you had shared with me.
I, I,
And
I, I just wanted to,
yeah,
would you mind if I add something? I feel
yeah,
like it's valuable.
yes.
Do you feel like NFTs is an on-ramp for those people that aren't into crypto? So right now we're in what I understand is the early majority of Bitcoin adoption, but NFTs, we're in what's the first stage would be the pioneers or the whatever.
Mhm.
Do you think that NFTs is going to bring it's going to bring a lot of people into this into the crypto space. So NFTs will be a way to on-ramp someone into Bitcoin. Because, for example, my student from Latvia, coincidentally, she has no interest in buying Bitcoin or an altcoin or a, shitcoin or whatever. But she's more interested in art. I'm not sure she's like totally into it, but she does have bright red hair, and I thought that outlaw gals might appeal to her, so that's like the first entry point for some people who just don't get blockchain, don't want to get it, but they get the community and the artistic part of it. What do you think? Do you think this is, Elio Trades talks a lot about this, that's going to bring people into the space?
Yeah, I think a great example of how it does that is maybe the Dallas Mavericks. So Mark Cuban is the owner of the Dallas Mavericks here in Texas, and he is in the process of making, maybe he's already done it, making all the Dallas Mavericks tickets NFTs. So when you buy a ticket to the Dallas Mavericks basketball game, that can be, he's having artists that produce the art for each ticket, and then that NFT will be in your wallet. And so now you're showcasing, hey, I'm a Mavericks fan. Look at how many games I went to this year. And so it becomes it's something more than taking a picture of yourself at the game, because maybe that only lasts for a few days in somebody's Instagram feed. It will become a collectible item. So I heard Gary Vee talking about how if you had a ticket to the 1964 World Series, well, that ticket stub is a collector's item now. And all sporting event tickets, all tickets for everything will become NFTs and will become pieces of collectible art in and of themselves. And so there are millions of Dallas Mavericks fans that have no idea what cryptocurrency is. But when they buy a ticket, they're going to get an email that says, if you would like an NFT version of the ticket that you bought, click here. And that will be the first entry point into them setting up a wallet to hold this NFT. And now they have the technological underpinnings to engage further with the crypto community.
So maybe just to help our audience. So what we're talking about is a physical ticket, and the NFT is it a digital version of the physical ticket? Yes. Or is it just an identifier, like a code, like with into the cryptoverse, you receive what's that thing called? It's like
it's
a
like
glass,
a physical trading card hologram of the NFT.
And then the NFT, what's that? What's the digital version? It's a photo of that. I think it's
basically the digital file that they created the printed version with. But it's basically just like when you buy. So I used to be really into sports memorabilia as a child, and so I have a bunch of signed baseballs from different baseball players. And those baseballs, when you buy it from like an auction or something, you get a certificate of authentication saying that this is really Nolan Ryan's autograph. And so the NFT is the certification card that says, yes, this was a real ticket, and this person actually went to the game, or this ticket at the time was actually a way to get into the game.
So you would have a ticket, you could have a certificate, and that certificate could be in a fire. You could lose the certificate, or it could be burned. That's the beauty of NFTs, right?
I think so,
eternal.
but it's also a way for now. Mark Cuban has all these Mavericks fans that are collecting NFTs, and I think there's just a psychological thing. Like when you start collecting something, you want to keep collecting them. Like I've been to a bunch of Dallas Mavericks games. I never kept the ticket stub, but the next time I go, every time I open my NFT wallet, I'm going to see that ticket in there, and I'm going to be like, I kind of want some more of those. Like it's a reason for me to keep going to games, because I can keep getting NFTs. And then if he's smart, and he is, I've interviewed him.
You've
He's
met
a
him in
brilliant
person,
guy.
haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
is going to figure out how to incentivize his community. And the only way you'll be able to be in that community is if you've bought a ticket to a Dallas Mavericks game and have one of those NFTs in your pocket. So I'm sure, is going to be doing deals with other businesses in Dallas where if you're a Dallas Mavericks NFT holder, you get access to certain discounts, or you get
Mm,
access to certain clubs, or
mm.
um,
Wow.
maybe concerts that happen at American Airlines Center where the Mavericks
Mm,
play. Like if you're an NFT holder,
mm.
now you get maybe upgrade access to better seats. Like those are all of the things that will play out in that community and make you want to keep buying those NFTs.
You'll be rewarded for being a fan. Wow.
Exactly.
Do you want to talk a bit about how your NFT collection will showcase who you are? So I think that's something that a lot of people might not get, right? It's not, you're not buying a pixel, you're not just buying a pixelated image. You have a collection of images that reflects who you are, reflects your personality. And so
Yeah.
that kind of connects, I think, with the Mavericks thing, right? It's
Yes.
okay, look, hey, look, you're telling your friend like, hey, look, I've been to all these games, and
Right.
they're like,
Well, the way, I guess maybe a way to find a metaphor in the real world is bumper stickers. Like there's plenty of people who put the Apple sticker on the back of their car, or they're a Christian and so they put the Jesus fish on the back of their car, or they're an atheist and so they put the Jesus fish with the little amphibian legs. You know, they're why do they do that? There's no
mm,
reason to do that other
mm,
than for them to say to everybody in traffic, this is what
hey,
I believe.
I'm a
Deal
Jesus
with it.
believer.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You crash into me, something bad might happen to you.
right. And so in many ways, that's what your NFT wallet is. It's the back of your car that you're covering
Mm,
in bumper stickers so
yeah,
that you can portray yourself. It's the same way that we use social media. Social media
yeah.
is not an accurate representation of somebody's life, but it's what
Mm,
somebody wants you to know about their life. And in many
yeah.
ways, that's more interesting than their actual life, because you can see, it's interesting to me that these are the parts I know this person in real life. I know what they're really
Mm,
like. It's interesting that they only share these parts of themselves. And so there's something in that, like your NFT wallet is a display of what you want people to know about yourself.
mm,
But it also is a way for you to kind of have a secret knock, right? Like you go to the underground
mm.
Illuminati club and you knock three times and say Fidelio, and all
Mm,
of a sudden you get access to this really interesting party,
mm,
that only a certain group of people is allowed to go to. That
mm,
your NFT is the key into those parties.
mm. Do you have a Bored Ape Yacht Club?
Right. and
No,
and and
go
and
away.
that is a big part of the allure, right? Is especially as COVID restrictions become more and more lax. I think that you will find that NFT bleeds into the real world through the event space. And so it will be something where Bored Apes, goes and finds Justin Timberlake and says, hey, we're going to do a Justin Timberlake private, recording, and if you've got a Bored Apes NFT, you get 2 tickets to the private recording, and then afterwards there's a meet and greet with Justin Timberlake, and you only get that by being a part of this club. The
Mm,
people running these projects are going to be
mm,
doing private things like that because it increases
mm,
the value of why you'd want to hold the NFT.
mm. Absolutely, yeah. Mm. Should we dive into the project?
Yeah. So this first one that you had sent me,
Mm.
is Roaring Leaders. Do you want to give kind of a premise of why this is on your radar?
Yeah, I didn't look at the website, and after listening to you in the previous video, I've understood that looking at the website's really important to do. My go-to place was the Discord channel, but I think,
Mm.
yeah, you can get a better overview, can't you, of the project? There's so much information in these Discord channels. So this was on my radar because it's part of Zeneca 33's 1 ETH challenge, and it's one of a handful of projects where the floor price was very low. So if you're looking to get into NFTs and you only have a couple of $100, this might be an approach you want to take, is follow Zeneca 33's Discord, join his Discord group, read his daily posts on the 1 ETH challenge, and check out the projects, do some analysis, what he does for the projects he's invested in. He looks at the floor price every day. He looks at the percent of owners on a project. So what percent of the owners have an NFT? In the case of this project, it's about 30%. And I noticed that with the Bored Ape Yachts Club, it's more like 50%. So that's a good metric for us to know. And then the Outlaw Gals is about 30%, and then it's exactly 30%. So yeah, if you're looking to invest a small amount of money, this might be a way to do it. And so Roaring Leaders, let's talk about Roaring Leaders then. So to me, it seems much like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and you'll find that there's several projects like that with good art and a theme.
Yeah. So it's just going through the website, I think maybe we can start to have like a process of how we're examining a project.
Great.
And so maybe step one is let's look at the website and kind of see what the project wants us to know about the project. So Roaring Leaders is a unique deflationary collection of 10,000 generative NFTs represented by the leaders of the jungle on the Ethereum blockchain. So one thing to note is generative NFTs are these NFTs where there's kind of, or at least this is my understanding, you correct me if you think I'm wrong. It's basically there are kind of some core avatar staples. And then there are a bunch of attributes or properties that then get they're often, each property is hand drawn, but then they're computer mapped in random sequences onto the avatar in order to create these 10,000 images,
which is different to generative art, correct? That's important to note, that it's pointing at a placeholder on the blockchain. It's a placeholder on the blockchain. That's what this is, which is different to an algorithm creating the art.
Right, because these are basically, I mean, we haven't gotten enough into this project to know if they're hand drawn. They look like they're drawn by an artist, and each thing is drawn by an artist, and then it's put together by a computer. Where some NFT projects are the entire artwork is created by an algorithm.
Correct. Yeah.
And then this is something that I've never heard before: deflationary collection. Does that mean that they are burning images?
Yeah, I guess that's what it means. I wasn't sure, but I did notice in the Discord channel that they're doing lots of burns, which I don't get. So if you own an NFT, you would burn it. You would lose your NFT to.
I know nothing about what burning NFTs are. If you know more about this, please comment and let us know so that we can have a better context. But my sense of it is that what happens is that as a project starts to raise in value, the owners of that project are making a certain percentage on secondary sales, and then that typically goes into a community wallet. And then one of the things that the community can vote on in order to raise the floor price is, do we sweep the floor with that community wallet? So if there are 30 ETH in the community wallet, maybe we take 10 of those and we buy all the lowest hanging fruit. So the cheapest, we buy 10 ETH worth of the cheapest NFTs in that project, and then we burn those. And so it's not me as the investor burning it. It's the project buying it up and then destroying it so that everybody's NFT becomes more valuable because there's less there. That's how I think it probably works. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, that's not what I understood. I thought sweep the floor is someone buying up a bunch of NFTs and that pushing up the price versus actually owning an NFT, burning it with the possibility to get a special NFT. So I'm
Yes.
guessing if you were to own, for example, you bought up, let's say you minted 20 NFTs, maybe it wouldn't be so bad to burn 5 NFTs if it lifts the whole project. Does that make
I
sense to you? Do you think people would actually
No, I don't.
destroy their NFTs? No,
I don't think
no.
that's. I think it's likely that the community is deciding of the community money
Uh,
what it. So sweep the
yeah.
floor and burning are two different things. You're right.
Mm,
Sweep the floor means
mm,
buying up all the lowest hanging
yeah.
fruit, but then those things still exist as things that eventually could come on the market for sale,
Mm,
and so the price reflects what the supply and demand of the project is. So I think then addition so maybe step one is from the community pot we sweep the floor, and now those aren't available for sale. The floor price has gone up, but now we also then, as an additional action, burn all of those. So we say, guess what, these just no one will ever be able to buy these, and so now instead of there being 10,000 there's only 7,000. I would think that that's more how it would work. Is individual investors probably aren't going to want to burn their investment, but as a part of the community, if I have voting rights, maybe I vote what to do with the community money, and what the community buys collectively from the community pot, then I can vote to destroy that, because then it raises the value of my individual investment.
that makes sense. Um, and and so what makes this project unique is that they have a fund. Do you have that image to hand, John? The one I sent you in the
Yeah.
email? It
This one?
was this one. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
Yeah, so Roaring
yeah.
Leaders is an
Mm,
ex-Marvel artist, so that's
mm,
interesting.
mm.
Designed an NFT collection backed by the first ever NFT mutual fund called the Leaders Fund. The founders are gifting NFTs worth 75 ETH to the fund from their personal collections to the Leaders Fund, plus 3% of all secondary sales goes to the Leaders Fund that would be used to buy other blue chip NFTs. So that's interesting. So they're basically running this as an investment fund, where the community 3% of all secondary sales is going into a community pot, and then the founders are kind of running it like a hedge fund, where they then take that money and invest into other projects, and then the profits from those NFT projects are distributed amongst everyone in the profit. So there's a passive
Exactly.
income play here, I guess.
Yes, that's exactly it. We might want to, perhaps people don't know what blue chip means. It might
Yeah,
be
you
self-explanatory. It's like owning FANG stocks or a large cap altcoin. So it's a
yeah, it's
well-established NFT,
basically it's low risk.
low risk. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it would be something where it's not going to be probably as volatile because there's
Mm,
already a large amount of an investment in the project.
mm, nice explanation. Great. So what do you think about this fund then? It's kind of
It's
interesting,
interesting.
right? I mean, they're investing in blue chip projects.
Right. I think that anything that is out of the ordinary
Norm.
for
Yes.
for an NFT project is
Yes.
something that it can get attention from. So
Yeah.
in marketing, the best
Yeah.
story wins, right?
Yeah.
And much of the success of an NFT project is, can you get an
Story.
influencer to talk about this? Can you get a
Mm,
publication to talk about this? So
mm,
if a project is doing something new, that makes it potentially more press worthy, or at least gives
mm,
an angle where a journalist might say, well, that's something that we haven't covered
mm.
before, maybe I'll write about it.
Yeah.
And so as an investor, I can be looking for what are the aspects of this project that are different that could be press worthy, that
Mm,
then might create that tipping point moment that needs to
mm,
happen for us to go from very low engagement and prices to higher engagement and prices.
Which is what Zeneca 33 was talking about in when he looks at roadmaps. He's looking for something revolutionary. If it's not, it doesn't matter. He's just looking for execution. But this might be something that's revolutionary. To me, it's interesting what you were saying about influencers as well, because I feel like some projects have a deliberate process of engaging with influencers. It's like they're gaming the system, whereas other projects are just letting it happen organically. And I feel like I'm leaning more to the ones that do it organically. I think that fits in with our own ethos. Our life ethos is not forcing something and just it happening naturally, and believing in the law of attraction. This is why I believe that Outlaw Gals, which I don't own, by the way, you own, will do very well because it will happen organically. I think there's something to be said about slow growth, and then exponential growth versus high growth and then a pump and dump, right? I'm just going to grab some water. Do you want to just talk to yourself for a little while?
And I think kind of what that indicates, anything that goes up quickly is going to correct quickly. And so if a project has an influencer pump and the engagement in the project is just because an influencer sent a bunch of people there all at once, then that community isn't going to feel as invested. They're really only there to flip and make a quick buck. Where when a project has had a slow growth of the community, that community has had to be involved in the project and has gone through some of the ups and downs of the project together. And there's a camaraderie that happens in that. And the community that faces challenges together is a community that can stick together maybe longer and move through additional adversity. And so when we're talking about influencers pumping a project versus projects that grow organically, what we're really looking at is which one of those mechanisms builds a more meaningful community that's going to have long-term impact and effect. And of course, something that grows organically is going to be stickier for the community. Now, probably an ideal scenario would be a project that had slow, deliberate, organic growth and then hit a influencer tipping point, right? And something like Outlaw Gals, which we spoke about in another video.
Outlaw Gals.
Maybe Outlaw Gals, because it has an organic community and is kind of building some of that foundational element, maybe it is less volatile after an influencer pump. Only time will tell. Anyhow, getting back to
do you think that Outlaw Gals might be synonymous with DigiByte? So DigiByte doesn't have, as you've said, good marketing, and we're going on faith that eventually it'll work out. Do you think it's similar with some of these NFT projects? I think that there might be more risk to an NFT project than a cryptocurrency, right? In that there are so many of them, right? I mean, there are many cryptocurrencies. There are about 10,000, there are something like 11 to 12,000 now, but in how many NFT projects are there? I think there's probably way more than that, or if there aren't, soon there'll be tons.
Well, one, I think Outlaw Gals has a way better marketing plan. They have a plan than DigiByte. Yeah, DigiByte. For me, just as a sidetrack, the reason that DigiByte is valuable is because the technical underpinnings of DigiByte are very sound, and so DigiByte has a highly engaged developer community. But if you're
Mm,
not a developer, there's not really a great meaningful way to engage with that community right now. And I think
mm,
as Digibyte adds Digi Asset X, which is the NFT layer for Digibyte, it
mm,
will give people a mechanism for engaging with Digibyte in a more meaningful way. Where right now, kind of the only way to engage with it is to, one, use it as a currency transfer, which
mm,
a lot of people do, or
mm.
to develop on it, to be tracking the movements of what developers are doing on the platform. And that's not as fun. It's not as accessible for the general population right now.
Mm,
However, my investment in Digibyte is an
mm,
investment in the understanding that eventually we'll get out of that developer phase and there will be meaningful general population user interface on the Digibyte platform. And at that point, I think that they will see an exponential growth and engagement, because a lot of the people that just kind of hold it as a fun, true representation of what real decentralization looks like
mm.
will engage with it more when there's a meaningful DApp to engage with.
Which is much like how Bitcoin started, right? That it was a passionate group of developers, and then it
Yes.
was used for drugs and selling organs, right?
Right.
Digibyte
That
hasn't had to go through that stage. It's missed that stage out, right? I'm
right.
just gonna turn this light off, John. One
Yeah.
second.
We just need to get Digibyte into the black market and get through that phase so that we can prove that there's a use case. Fortunately, Bitcoin did that for us, and while it was a necessary stage, I think we're now in the stage where we recognize that there is meaningful use case for digital currency, and Digibyte, of course, is a way faster mechanism for transferring currency. And of course, when we compare it to something like ETH, where the gas fees are outrageous to transfer money, Digibyte is pennies to transfer the same amount of monetary value on their network. But I
which is
digress.
which
As it
is
applies,
which is why in the future we may explore Solana and Polygon NFT projects, because the
correct.
fees are much lower. And just something to add was, Economic Ninja says that the value of Digibyte is in the developers, and I think
Yes.
that's true of NFTs as well. The
Yes.
value is in the team, in the community, not just the
Yes.
team, but the community as well, right? So it's a
Right.
similar, there's a
Yeah,
parallel there.
I think it's an important thing to note, because a lot of people are still hung up on NFTs as being 100% reliant on the art, and the
Mm,
art is actually a secondary thing to the development and marketing team.
mm.
The you see some of the projects that have taken off, and you're like, why would anybody buy that flying pop tart?
Which is how
uh,
you were. That's just how you
right.
were just 10
I'm
days
sti-
ago. I think you were playing the devil's advocate. I think you with me, you knew the value was there.
yeah.
But look at, isn't that curious? Like the transition within 10
Right. Well,
days. And once you get into it, like you're in it, like you get it, right? And Elio Trade said that, and Zeneca said that, and now yeah, like after a few, like once you buy your first NFT, like, or for example, the outlaw gal that got bought up, like how attached was I to that outlaw gal? Do you know what I mean? Like you get really, it's a good lesson in non-attachment, right?
yeah.
Right.
Right. Well, I approach everything new with a kind of Socratic questioning,
Yes.
which is a kind of devil's advocate. Like that's how I poke holes at all the holes that I can see in order to
Mm,
understand if it's something real.
mm,
And the more that I poked holes at it, the more that I recognize that, oh, there's an actual use case here, but it's not what people think it is. And what people think it is a mechanism for artists to make money off of digital art. And of course that is
mm,
one component of it, but I don't
mm.
think that it's the end all be all use case of NFTs. I think the end all be all use case of
It's
NFTs
community,
is
I think.
monetizing a community and
Mm,
incentivizing a community to stay together and stay engaged. And anyone that's ever started a Facebook group and tried to keep that thing going recognizes that it is incredibly
Curious.
difficult to
Yeah.
keep a community together and active.
Mm.
And so
Mm.
NFTs creates a monetary financial layer on group
Mm.
building that
Mm.
allows the group to feel personally invested in a way
Vested.
that makes them want to
Yes.
contribute in a meaningful way.
Yes. Like a gamer with a game, right?
Yes.
Except maybe gaming is more addictive. I think another interesting thing to consider is looking at NFT. Am I slow? Do you really want to get into this
No,
project? Are we
I'm just I
digressing? Are we digressing? Or you just want
I
to look at lions and tigers? Is
I'm
that
just changing the screen so that somebody has a
so that
different
we're ready?
visual.
Oh, I see. Yeah, they're looking at the same thing. Yeah, I was wondering if you were purposely letting people see a certain outlaw gal in the previous videos. I was going to joke with you, John. Is that one of your favorite ones? Or so I guess another way to look at NFTs is how Trader University looks at Bitcoin as generational wealth. I love it when he says that you're missing out on I can't remember his exact words, but something like you'd be like your children and your grandchildren will resent you for not will hate you. I think he says hate. I love how I love the way he said just he's so blunt, right? Like
Right.
so I
Trader
think so
University is like a hardcore Bitcoin
thank you.
maximalist, and
But then thank you.
his
Yeah.
mentality
Yeah.
is essentially get on the boat now, or
Or
your
you're
entire
screwed.
lineage from here on out is going to resent you.
Screwed. Yeah. So, but it's an interesting lens through which to look at NFTs, right? I think looking at the very long term is interesting, right? In looking at this through okay, will this project be around in 100 years, 10 years? You know, I
Yeah.
think we're so short-termist, aren't we? I mean, that's what happens with Bitcoin, isn't it? Is people who know nothing about cryptocurrency jump into it, that people are FOMOing in. We're reaching an all-time high with Bitcoin. It's the week closed above, it's the highest week it's ever been for Bitcoin. Um so people FOMO in, and then they see all this volatility, and then they're selling at a loss. And that's the problem, isn't it? It's this nowist short-termist view. And I think that if you're looking to make some serious money with NFTs, I think it's interesting to look at this from a long-term perspective. What
Yeah.
do you think? Like with Outlaw Gals, I'm looking at it as because Zeneca 33 mentioned this about the first, and I don't know if it's revolutionary in the first, but it is the first motorcycle, I think, NFT projects, the first female motorcyclist NFT project. So that's what the archaeologist was saying, wasn't he? About this is why he's looking into these earlier projects, because well, first of all, they're the first in terms of how long they've been around for. But I think it's interesting to look at it in that way, isn't it? What is this
Yeah.
project the first for? And maybe
Yeah.
it's not always obvious what it's the first for, right?
Well, I think for me, when considering an NFT project, kind of the lens through which I'm looking at it now is how long is this community going to stay together? Like when I look at a sports team's they're going to be Dallas Mavericks fans forever. As long as it's a team, there's going to be fans. There's going to be a group of avid fans around that
Mm,
project. And
mm,
so that I think is the way to think about NFTs long
mm,
term is
mm.
probably most projects you should flip them. They're not going to be around.
Around
But what you're
99.9%, right?
right,
Yeah.
what you're looking for is the projects that are doing interesting things above and beyond the initial mint, because that creates some real world roots, that give the project more value, and that mean that there's going to be continued attention in the project. So one of the interesting things about Boss Beauties was when I read that they were in partnership with Target. That's building a real world route that bridges. It's what Michael Saylor talks about, the reason that mining is important in crypto. Michael Saylor is bearish on projects that are staking, because he thinks that they're missing the crossover component to the real world. When you're arbitraging energy, electricity, which is what mining is, you're bridging, you're using that arbitrage of electricity as a bridge from the digital metaverse into the real world. And in the real world, when you're arbitraging electricity, that means that politicians have to be involved, hedge funds have to be involved, real estate developers have to be involved, entrepreneurs have to be involved. Once you take out that physical component and are just staking a project,
just time
none of
out.
that is involved. Yeah.
Can you explain the arbitraging of electricity and why everyone has to be involved? I don't get that. Can you explain that again?
Yeah, well, electricity has to be created in the real world. You can't create electricity in a digital space that is electricity. So electricity has to be created through some kind of real world mechanism. And as soon as you're having to create something in the real world, there's all kinds of things involved in that. You can't build a nuclear power plant without the government approving it. You can't build a solar farm without getting the proper permits from your local city officials. So as soon as so our mining is figuring out how to solve a complicated math problem that requires an intense amount of energy as efficiently as possible. So if you're looking into solar or renewal, El Salvador's now doing their volcano
Can I
mining.
just
Yeah.
interject? So you're telling me that Bitcoin is the most efficient use of energy? Is that no? Oh,
I'm saying that the incentive is to, if I want to have a profitable mining company, the incentive is for me to find the most efficient way to mine Bitcoin and arbitrage that energy, that electricity. So by building better computer processors and better mining equipment, by finding renewable energy, by utilizing the power of a waterfall and building a mining station that uses hydroelectricity to run my equipment, I'm arbitraging
making
the
the
monetary
best
value of electricity.
making the best use of that energy.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Got it.
And anytime I'm doing something like that in the real world, I have to engage with local officials, maybe federal officials, maybe the SEC, maybe a real estate developer to help me build my mining plant, engineers who help me figure out how to build that hydroelectricity plant. And so mining creates a real world route to the metaverse that connects the two, where if I don't need to arbitrage electricity in order to live in the metaverse, there's no real meaningful reason for any of those politicians, engineers, real estate developers to care about my crypto project.
Okay. And I might need to sit on that or ask you privately.
The way to think about NFTs long term is in a similar way. How does this NFT project connect into the real world? Because we're not going to go into a Ready Player One environment where everybody just lives in VR goggles. The real world will continue to be a thing. And if projects aren't engaging with the real world in a meaningful way, and vice versa, if the real world isn't engaging with the digital space
Oh,
in a
I
real
get
way.
it now. I think I get it now. Yeah, I see. So the mining of Bitcoin is the real life application, right? It's what connects the digital with the real world. Have I got it?
That's Michael Saylor's view. I don't know that I
Yeah.
100% agree with
Yeah.
that yet,
Yeah.
but that's why he's a Bitcoin maximalist.
So what was the staking thing? What were
Yeah,
you,
so
what was his?
with staking, it is much less dependent on real world resources, and so
Uh-huh.
there's the
Is
advantage of that is that maybe it's more energy um and friendly or efficient, and so maybe there's some advantages to that. However, you're not incentivizing your local real estate developer to get involved in your blockchain.
mm-hmm.
You're not incentivizing the politician to get involved in your blockchain.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
not
Yeah.
incentivizing these real world professions that aren't going anywhere. If you're going to have continued growth in your blockchain,
Mm,
you have to make sure that the blockchain has meaningful incentives for the most amount of people. And in
mm,
a staking environment, the number of incentives for real world professions, according to Michael Saylor, is not as wide a net as with something like Bitcoin that has a real electricity arbitrage leg and root into the actual economy.
got it. Got it.
So how that maps onto NFT
Mm,
projects
mm,
is we want to be looking for NFT projects that are building those real world roots. And so a project that by
mm,
owning the NFT, you now get access to a physical event like Mark Cuban is doing with his Dallas Mavericks NFTs. And I'm sure that there will be community networking events around that. And so
hmm,
that looking at what the Dallas Mavericks are doing with NFTs is, I
mm,
think, an interesting way to think about how forward-thinking entrepreneurs like Mark Cuban see the
mm,
NFT space and the
mm,
interplay between the real world and the metaverse.
mm. It's like having half your body in the
Right.
digital
And
world,
and
isn't
so
it?
think about it from Mark Cuban's
Mm.
perspective. His stadium only holds maybe let's say his stadium holds 30,000 people. So when he has a Dallas Mavericks game, he can only sell 30,000 tickets.
Is that
What
true?
if
You can't fill this. Oh, it's an example. Yeah, yeah. Keep going.
well,
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
only 30,000 seats.
oh, oh, I thought that was half. I missed
No,
something.
no.
Yeah. Keep going.
I mean, I don't know how many the American Airlines Center
Whatever.
holds,
Whatever.
but it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. However
Yeah.
many seats are there, that's the max capacity for that game, which
Yeah.
means that there's a ceiling on how much money Mark Cuban can
Yes.
make. What
Yes.
if Mark Cuban builds
Yes.
a digital arena in the metaverse, and now if I don't live in
Yes.
Dallas, I
Yes.
I can still buy a ticket to the game.
Yes, exactly. Which is what Elio Trade says about NFTs is there are only so many, he doesn't talk about your bumper sticker example, but there's only so many people that will see your bumper sticker. There are
Right.
potentially millions that will see the NFT that you own. It's your
Exactly.
Twitter avatar, right? Like,
Right.
so, you know.
Exactly. And so it's basically just giving greater reach to
Mm,
any existing project, and by having a leg in the real world and engaging with the real world economy, it makes the NFT project, one, potentially more valuable, I believe,
mm,
and two, it gives it more incentive for the community to stay together and for more people to join the community.
mm, mm. Yeah, absolutely.
So, all that said, let's just kind of round out. We,
Mm,
looking at
mm,
roaring
mm,
leaders,
mm,
the interesting, really, I guess maybe one of the more interesting things about this is that part of the way that they're incentivizing being a part of this community and growing the value of holding one of these NFTs
mm,
is that they're taking 3% of secondary sales, they're putting it into a community pot, and then they're buying these other NFT projects, and as those projects go up in value and
brilliant.
they make money from those projects,
Mm,
that those profits are going to be distributed among the NFT
mm,
holders of Roaring Leaders. So
mm.
this is not necessarily exactly what we were just talking about, but it's a way of building a secondary use case for why you would want to be in the community.
Yeah, so joining this project is a way to own a piece of a blue chip project, right?
Right.
You don't have enough money to own a Cool Cat or a Bored Ape Yacht Club. Well,
Right. Our
here's your
fund owns
chance.
one. Yeah.
Here's your chance. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty interesting. I don't know if this is a first. I don't know if they're the first to do this. We haven't looked into many projects, but if Mark, were you aware that Mark Cuban was talking about Roaring Leaders? He
I
was
wasn't,
talking
but
about the fund. Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. So Mark Cuban is probably somebody that we should all be following, because love him or hate him, he is somebody who is already incredibly successful in the real world, like the physical economy. He's made billions of dollars in the physical economy, through the Dallas Mavericks. Now he made his money in the digital.com space, but he has a tangible real world business that makes a lot of money. And I grew up in Dallas. The Dallas Mavericks were a shit team before he came in and took them over, and now they've won however many championships they've won. Like you could argue that he was single-handedly part of turning around that franchise. And so he is somebody who knows how to take a vision and execute on it. And so the fact that he's engaging so vividly with NFTs and the metaverse and crypto as a whole, he's an interesting person to watch, because he's going to be inventing use cases of how physical businesses can engage with the metaverse.
Really interesting. Do you think that engaging in the metaverse is a way to become anti-fragile? Do you think that this is something that shouldn't be ignored? We shouldn't be ignoring the metaverse.
Well, maybe you can give me your
Should,
definition of anti-fragile, or for those
should, we,
listening.
should we leave that for a chat on
Yeah,
my
let's table it
channel?
for
Yeah,
let's table it for another
yeah, yeah, yeah.
conversation. And I think rounding out this one, because this conversation's already gone a while, let's just kind of do our due diligence. So Roaring Leaders is a unique deflationary collection of 10,000 generative NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain. The collection includes the first ever NFT mutual fund, first ever. So that's interesting.
Oh, there we go.
Our artwork includes 200 handcrafted traits. So I think Outlaw Gals, we said, was 150, right? And so theirs has 200. Those are basically the sunglasses would be one, the hat is one, these teeth is one, the green skin is one. Roadmap. So 20% sold, 40% sold, 60% sold. So 10 Roaring Leader NFTs airdropped. Okay, they've done that. The Leaders Fund with one M2 Mutant Ape and one Cool Cat. So the Leaders Fund has already bought into some other NFT projects. 10 Elixir NFTs airdrop to 10 winners. They did that. Next up on the roadmap is 2 weeks after sellout. So they're going to launch the Elixir deflationary mechanics, which we don't fully know what that is, but we have an idea that maybe it's starting to burn some of the things. Maybe it'll say more down the line. Founders gift, the Leaders Fund with one M1 Mutant A and one Chrome Squiggy. So the ETF already owns some popular NFT projects.
Do you remember the Chrome Squiggy, John? You were dissing that just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, that was the slow moving worm.
This is the color. Yes,
yeah. That was when I was still in the stage of viewing it as art.
Denial.
Yeah. 10 Roaring Leaders NFTs airdrop to 10 winners. That's already happened. 3 weeks after sellout, assistant NFTs airdrop to Roaring Leaders holders. What are elixirs and how is Roaring Leaders deflationary? So we've introduced a mechanism where NFT holders can choose to burn a so NFT holders. So they can burn a Roaring Leader NFT to get an elixir.
I told you, didn't you? Didn't I? You didn't believe me. You didn't think it was possible.
You didn't tell me by burning something else I'd get something new.
Yeah, I did.
I
Talk.
wasn't
Your
listening.
brain processes so fast. You weren't. You don't
I
get.
wasn't
You didn't
listening.
capture everything I say.
Yeah. Each elixir will have the ability to upgrade the rarity of one trait of one of your other Roaring Leader NFTs. Okay, so basically you
Mm,
burn one
mm.
NFT in order to get superpowers for your other NFT, kind of.
But you're
Um, the,
guaranteed. Oh, anyway, keep going. Yeah,
the,
keep
the
going.
process
Mm.
reduces the supply of the collection, and it is therefore deflationary, but it enhances the value for all other holders. Why rarity upgrades? Because we believe leaders are not born,
You're
they're made.
born.
So basically, if you own two of the initial NFTs, you can burn one of them and kind of upgrade your second NFT with this elixir rarity, and that makes one every because the supply of the project goes down, then potentially demand is higher, prices can go up. But also, when we had talked about this over here, you can see the rarity properties, how many of each attribute the project has. And so by adding additional elixir properties, so maybe one of the properties is like a party hat for this guy, now this guy becomes more rare. There
Mm.
are less people that have that combination of things.
So was I right then that you have the potential to lose your NFT, right? This is the meaning of the burn because it reduces the supply. So it's a big risk, isn't it? Like you may get the most rare NFT, but you may lose. But if you don't, you'll lose your NFT. Have I understood right?
Correct. So you're
Yeah,
losing your NFT, and in
with the
exchange for that,
possibility,
this
with the
graphic shows it. So you lose your NFT, but you get an elixir that gives you these wings.
no, but you're not guaranteed the elixir, right?
Yeah, you're guaranteed the
Oh, you're
elixir.
guaranteed the elixir. Oh, I thought it was
That's the part that you didn't tell me, and why it didn't make sense to me.
Oh no, even now I believe that you lose your NFT because
Yeah,
how would the supply reduce if
you
like how
burn
would
you have two NFTs, you
yeah,
burn one and the second one gets the elixir.
but how does the supply reduce? You've just replaced one with another.
No, you upgraded one of the two. You burned one. Now there's only one. Now you only own one, but you get to
Ah,
add a new feature to that one and it updates it on the blockchain.
so you're exchanging two for one. You're
Correct.
exchanging two
You're exchanging,
mediocre
yeah,
ones or
that's
two
probably that's a good way to
yeah,
understand the mechanics of it. You
yeah.
exchange your two for one upgraded one.
There, okay. There we go.
Cool. So then this is talking about the Leaders Fund, which we've kind of already spoken about, but this is, I guess, some of the NFTs that they've already purchased. This is that squiggly worm one. And so this is cool. The fund is currently worth $500,000. So you're buying into the royalties of that fund, and the potential of the projects that they've already invested in as well. Then the team, we don't know if they're fully, I guess they've got their Twitters here. So
Mm,
does that mean
mm,
they're fully doxxed?
mm.
Let's see. Blockchain dev and co-founder. Yeah, so I guess they basically are. And so we can go through and see 2,400 followers for this guy. I mean, not that that necessarily means anything. 1,000 followers for this person, and
Can we see who they are if we go to their Instagram account? Let's just have a quick the one of them, the one before had, I think Carlos had Instagram.
they're all Twitter, I think.
No, oh,
Oh, you mean on the
when
actual?
on the yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
the
there it is.
artist.
Yeah.
This is the artist's Instagram.
There we go. So
38,000.
he's a
Okay.
real person.
Okay, and so
But he's doxed.
this is
He's
the stuff
doxed.
that he's designed for
Mm,
Marvel.
mm.
So
Oh,
clearly an
mm,
established artist,
mm,
and somebody who knows how to complete a project if he's
mm,
already done stuff for
mm.
Marvel. Cool stuff. You're getting a follow, Carlos. So yeah, we won't dive fully into who each of these people are on this video, but just
Mm.
showcasing that this is a well structured project. There's some new
Yeah,
things to it, and it's one of the reasons that Zeneca 33 probably brought it up, right?
right. And so if you were going to do your due diligence, you'd look more into each of the members of the team like you did with
Right. I think that's
Outlaw
right.
Gals.
And we could go into the Discord here
Mm,
and just kind of see what's going on
mm,
in the Discord.
mm.
So um
You're going to need to get verified.
yeah, I guess so. So that I guess let me just refresh him before I
Mm,
say what I'm
mhm,
about to say.
mm.
Yeah, so maybe the only way that you can be a member,
Is
no.
you have
Oh,
to click an emoji or something. If you
oh,
go
I need to
to,
get verified. I see.
yeah, so just now click on the lion or tiger, the second one next to the thumbs up, that one, yeah.
This guy,
Yeah.
all of them.
No, just the tiger. Click on the tiger.
This guy,
No, are you messing around? Go,
this
can you
guy.
see the thumbs up? Uh,
I clicked it.
yeah, it didn't work? Oh,
Mm-mm.
oh, go to the one above then. Oh yeah, in the
Oh, I
first
have to click
message.
the check mark.
No,
No.
no, react with the tiger to gain full access. So click on the tiger where it says 12,797. Yeah, didn't
I
work?
already
Oh,
I
now
already
you're
did
in. I
that.
think you're in now, aren't you?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is
Now
where I
you've got
could.
access to. It was good to show
Yeah,
people that.
so
So
yeah,
everyone would
that
know
is good
how.
because basically when you're going into these crypto groups that you have to
Mm,
there's this get verified check mark that
mm,
you always
mm,
have to, or at least for most of the projects you have
mm,
to click on, and
mm.
then that opens up all of the different categories of chatter.
The
So
channels.
I
Mm,
usually click on the announcements to kind of see
mm.
what is
This
the
is
latest news
this is
then.
the roadmap. So you'll see.
So this they
Typically,
just
this
did
is
it.
the roadmap. What they've done to date.
And it just shows
Yeah.
how active like are their community managers, or like
Mm,
what kind of incentives are they
yeah.
giving the group to continue to engage.
They're very
So
active,
yeah, they're
by the
giving a
way.
bunch of
Yeah.
elixir giveaways.
Mm.
So that's one of the big things that they're
Upgrades.
doing.
These are a couple of the NFTs that they've bought. One is a cool cat, which is a blue chip project.
So this is just showcasing, yeah, how they're approaching the Leaders Fund.
Mm,
So yeah, we could dive into. I mean, last night for Outlaw Gals,
mm,
I spent several hours just going through all the
mm,
different channels and kind of
mm,
understanding the project from all of these different angles. You
mm,
could click on media coverage here and kind of see
mm,
what kind of engagement they're getting with press. So
mm.
they were just you had
They're
mentioned this to
very
me, but they were
active.
just
Yeah.
mentioned
The
by BitBoy, which of course is
BitBoy.
one of the
Mm,
top YouTubers.
Crypto.
So what I guess it'd be interesting to see since that announcement. We go up here and we
Look
look
at the
at the
floor
volumes
price.
traded.
I haven't seen. There's been a slight tick up in the average price and volume, but not a big movement. I think that's because uh, we're in a dip right now.
Yeah. Well,
NFT winter. I don't think it's NFT winter, but oh, that
right.
might be something to mention
And
is,
gas fees are so high, I think.
yeah, that might be something to mention is, and I didn't understand this. So when Ethereum goes up in price, people want to sell their NFTs to lock in their profit and keep it in USD or USDT or invest in crypto. Because you were mentioning about how people will move money from NFTs to crypto. But there's an added aspect, isn't there? There's what's the price of Ethereum?
Right.
If you're
Yeah.
holding holding NFTs. That's something, yeah. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, it's like
You're owning something in Ethereum, right? So you've got to have faith in Ethereum, which, so clearly Trader University wouldn't be doesn't have a collection of NFTs because he doesn't believe in Ethereum. So that, it does make me wonder then. So if you I mean, what happens if Ethereum dies? I mean, Elio trades and all the and other influencers don't believe that, they believe Ethereum will be around forever. What are your thoughts on that?
I think anything
You've
with a
got no
market cap of
half a
whatever it is,
trillion,
hundreds of
half a,
billions,
yeah,
um, it would be
some staying value.
highly unlikely that that goes away. Can it dip in valuation and be volatile? Absolutely, but
Mm,
there's so much attention,
mm,
just developer attention,
mm,
not to mention economic and marketing attention
mm,
that is directed towards the Ethereum blockchain. I don't think
mm,
that it will ever go anywhere.
mm,
However, the price could, you know, be incredibly volatile, especially as
mm,
Ethereum 2.0, Ethereum has kind of decided that they're going to move to a staking model, and so, you know, if there's some truth to the electricity arbitrage of mining, then maybe that affects the overall market cap of Ethereum. I'm not sure, but I don't think Ethereum's going anywhere. But I do think that it's important to understand, like, so basically, if you buy an NFT and the only way that you can buy or sell that NFT is through the Ethereum network, then it's basically like a trading pair. Like, your
mm.
NFT can only be traded with Ethereum,
Right.
where if the NFT can be traded with Matic or Polygon or Solana and Ethereum, it's basically like you have 4 or 5 different trading pairs. And so then you would want to kind of, I guess, chart out which of your trading pairs would be the most profitable thing to sell it in at that given point in time.
Yeah, so that's interesting because Invest Answers had did a conversation with George from Cryptos R Us, and then another guy, and they were trying to figure out, because you can buy NFTs with Immutable X. Is that a crypto? I think it's called Immutable X, and they were trying to figure out if you could um, transfer funds from your MetaMask in ETH to Immutable X to buy these NFTs. I've not understood it well,
Right.
but
Well, I think if you're daisy chaining things together, like, you still have to
mm,
be conscious of what the Ethereum price is, because you're kind of moving
mm,
from one to another. So you're
mm,
basically just creating a series of trades. But
mm.
my understanding is that for some of these NFT projects, you could buy or sell them in directly in multiple currencies.
Oh, you
So
mean
what?
to the buyer? You mean like through the, because you can buy and sell NFTs within the Discord channel. So is that what you're saying? Is that I just need to find a buyer, and then it doesn't matter how what they pay
Yeah.
me
So
in, as long as
right.
I'm willing to accept it. Is that what you mean?
That could be one way of doing it, but also built into OpenSea, I
Mm.
believe that there is that the NFT creator can decide if they want to develop where it's accessible on multiple blockchains. Let me fact check
No,
that.
my understanding is that some NFT, you can buy and sell some NFTs in Polygon, and but it's one or the other. Oh no, maybe there are some projects that you can do it in several.
Let's see. Yeah, so I mean, you can definitely sell on Polygon. So we'll have to, in another video,
Look
we'll
into
look
that.
into a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah,
more on
yeah.
what the multi-chain, like, if something's
Mm,
minted on Ethereum, does it have to be
mm,
sold in Ethereum, or
mm.
can you mint something on one blockchain and sell it on another? We'll have to look into that.
I think I think for some projects it's only Ethereum, and some projects it's several.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think if we,
Chains.
because right now you can negotiate these in ETH and wrapped ETH, right?
So they're the same thing, ETH and wrapped ETH. It's just when you buy now, you use ETH, and when you make an offer, you use wrapped ETH. You have to use wrapped ETH. So you can see the symbol on each of the images. So for some projects, you'll see,
The
I think
pink
it
one.
might be just Ethereum or just Polygon. Yeah, and you'll see it. You'll see the symbol. So if you go to stats, you'll see the
I just want,
most you can.
so I
You've
guess I
got the
can just
option to go to chains, John. If you
chains.
go
Okay.
further down, yeah, and
Okay.
then
So
you
yeah,
click on
Clayton, Polygon, and Ethereum are the
click on
three.
Polygon, and you'll see. I don't think you'll see many.
So 2.6 million NFTs on
Mm, mm,
Polygon.
mm,
Let me sort by the highest price and let's see.
mm.
Or let's do highest last sale. This dumb shark. I'm clicking on the horse. So I can buy it with ETH on Polygon.
Oh, okay. I
So
didn't know that.
so really
Mm.
Ethereum is still the trading pair.
Oh, okay. So, so this would be similar to Ken Stanfield talking about not hold when there were some concerns about USDT. You have the possibility to move it into USDC if you had an NFT and there were some concerns around Ethereum. Let's say if the SEC considered it a security, then
Right. You'd
like
kind of be screwed. Like it's the only trading pair.
it doesn't matter if you have Bitcoin. If it doesn't matter if you bought Bitcoin with USDT, you own Bitcoin, but with an NFT, you you own
Well, with
Ethereum.
an NFT, if the only way you can sell it is through one currency, then you would
Mm,
be, your profits would be stuck to how capable you're able to engage with that and what the liquidity of it would look like. So yeah, I mean, I guess another thing that we could look into in the future is just
mm,
interoperability. Like in the
mm,
future, will you buy? Can you buy it on? Can I buy something with ETH, and then in the future, if Cardano gets integrated into OpenSea, can I then sell it in Cardano?
mm,
Because ultimately, that's probably like the interoperability of these things has to happen. Like there can't be
mm.
700 different metaverses.
Yeah.
There's going to be one
Oh,
metaverse,
yeah.
and then there's going to
Yeah.
be things like Chainlink that connect chains together.
Oh. Mm, mm.
So I think that's probably as good a place as any to put a pin in this conversation. Any final thoughts that you've got?
Yeah, I just wondered if you wanted to kind of give people a breakdown of how to explore a project, like as in a summary of what we've done. So would you say step one is look at the website, step two, join the Discord channel, step three, look at the social media links for the team? Maybe I've done it, maybe that's it. Those are the
Yeah.
three steps.
I think those are the steps that I've gone through,
Mm,
with the one project. Of course, we're
mm,
still building out the template of what this looks like, but yeah,
mm,
I guess
mm,
the steps would be look at the website,
mm,
look at the team,
mhm,
any links to the team, like
mm,
see what the team, who the team is, what they've actually done. Is there anything that makes the project unique? Then join the Discord, what's happening in the Discord account, then,
Check the
of
roadmap, go to
yeah,
announcements, check the roadmap,
of course,
see if the
part of it,
community's engaged, look at the
yeah,
general
is the
chat.
community engaged? How
Mm,
often are they, um, how often is the community team, I don't,
communicating. Whoa.
I gotta, I'm trying to get back. Okay, here's where I'm trying to get back to. And then I think, part of it is like, do you resonate with the project? Like, does this speak to you in some way? Like,
Mm,
as you go through
mm,
this, like, is there something about the project that makes you like eager to share it? Like, is this the bumper sticker that you want to put in your OpenSea wallet?
mm,
Um, does it communicate something about you, and the thing that it communicates about you, do you want to engage with other people that have a kinship to that particular trait that you're expressing with this project? I think for me, that's like part of it, is like, do I is this the project I want to talk to people about? Like, do I want to
mm.
put this on my social media and say, hey, I think this is cool?
Yeah, would you be proud or embarrassed to have this in your collection?
Right.
I wonder if in the future kids might be bullied for what they have in their OpenSea collection, right? Like,
Right.
what? You have a
Ha ha, he's got a roaring party hat. Yeah, and so then I think the other things to look at are, what is the floor price? What's the
Mm,
percentage of owners to total items?
mm,
And volume traded.
mm,
Like, is there liquidity in the project?
mm,
Like, is
mm,
there, the volume
mm,
in this
mm,
is going up with
mm,
spikes.
mm.
Every This spike was on the 6th, this one was on the 12th. So like
And
every week there's a little bit of a spike. So maybe we're about
and
to go into
uh,
another one.
and we've been in a dip for the last week or so. So Roaring Leaders is doing pretty well. It's on the up
Right. Even
despite
in a lull.
despite the
Yeah. So let's see. Is there anything else that we would want to assess? That's probably
mm,
it.
maybe just something to add about the metrics. I think a 30% owners to items is a good
Okay.
ballpark. And then from what I've seen with volume, it seems like 200 ETH and above is a good metric. But I haven't got to
Okay.
know so many projects. It's something to
Yeah.
consider. And then, well, the floor price, um, I'd be looking for steady growth. Um, I'd be wary of an, a big uptick from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we can see some. I mean, I guess this is the same
Yeah, this
volume
is a
metric.
steady.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is a steady. So the blue line is the average price, and then the bars are the volume.
I see.
I
Okay.
wasn't sure of that when we were looking at the
Okay.
video when we were looking at it yesterday. So I
So
mean,
these bars are the
mm,
volume, just like on a
yeah,
regular
yeah,
trading chart, and this
yeah,
is the price action.
yeah. So I think if you saw a big if you saw that the price was very high, let's say it was, maybe there's a project we could look at, but let's say if it was 0.3 and then it dropped to 0.1, that might be a red flag. I feel like it's
Right.
it's like it's like a coin that gets listed on KuCoin, um, a smaller microcap coin that gets listed, and you just see this surge in price and then it dump. But I'm I'm, I'm imagining there's several projects where it just continues up and up where there's just so much momentum, right? But I personally, that those are the projects I'm looking for, that
Yeah.
don't surge from the very beginning.
Right. Well, I think, yeah,
Mm,
it's interesting that,
mm,
the initial price was kind of 0.09, is, I guess,
mm,
probably around where the
mm,
mint price was, maybe.
mm, mm.
And then we've kind of,
Yeah, it's done
it's
well.
gone up
Yeah,
from the mint
yeah,
price, which
yeah.
is obviously what you would want to see.
Mm.
And so on Outlaw Gals, that isn't the case. We're below the
Oh,
mint price.
right.
So when we click over here on
Mm,
Outlaw Gals,
volume traded.
Oh, activity.
No?
So
Is that when
we
it launched on the 29th of September? So 2 weeks ago.
yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we started up here and
Yeah.
we've kind of trended down.
Yeah,
So
Zenica33 talks about that. He says he's not concerned too
yeah,
much about that.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to dig into
Mm,
another video
mm,
how to properly interpret these charts.
mm,
But
mm,
I think for the most part, we've kind of
mm,
thoroughly covered roaring leaders. Definitely something that is interesting to check out. I'm going to continue to do some due diligence and maybe I'll buy one of these. This guy looks like my friend Clark, so maybe I'll buy one in honor of Clark. But yeah, anything else for this one that you want to share? Cool. Well, I appreciate your insight. And if you stuck with us this long, kudos to you. Hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll come to you with some more insights. And if you have questions or corrections for anything, definitely leave them in the comments.
Yeah, we were unsure about the burn and the sweep the floor, but I feel like we understand
We
it now.
worked it out.
If someone if
I've,
someone if
I've,
someone
I
can
was having, I was
confirm,
having some big feelings about your misunderstanding about it.
if someone could confirm that what we've said is true, that would be really helpful, so that we
Yeah.
to make sure we're on the right track.
Cool. All right. We'll see you in the next one.